Yo, what's happening, family? Big brother Brandon in the building, man. Look, we're back with another week discussing what I like to call embracism, and what I believe is, embracism is a direct weapon to be used against racism. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically, I came up with the term, and it's basically learning to embrace each other by learning about each other. We discussed last week when we dealt with the being apologetic and also being forgiving. We dealt with that on last week. Basically building those, learning how to build the relationships between the races. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with a new platform today, so I'm kind of trying to figure it out. So bear with me. We're multi-streaming, so you can catch us on what is it, on Facebook and on the YouTube page, man. So we're streaming both at the same time, man. So what we're gonna do, I want to welcome everybody for another week. Embracism. What we're gonna get into today is volume 2. Now, we discussed it the last week that my personal feelings, my personal belief is this, man, that I don't think a lot of what we see today that we call racism on a personal level. Now, you do have systematic things that do need to be, dealt with and discussed. But on a personal level, I honestly think that a lot of what we call racism it doesn't come from hate, but it comes from ignorance. And again, like we said last week, that ignorance is not necessarily a bad thing. It's simply we don't have these conversations. We were always taught, you don't talk about race, religion, and politics. It's always troublemaking subjects. What the truth of the matter is, at the same time, those are the things that we remain the most divided about. So what we want to do is, look, we want to open up and have those conversations, and like I said, who better to do it than Big Brother Brandon? So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about a conversation about the tough conversation. It's easier said than done when we begin talking about, race relations. It's definitely a touchy subject. It's definitely a touchy subject. A lot of people don't like to get involved in it. A lot of people really don't like to discuss things. And there's also a belief that says, hey, it'll go away if we just stop talking about it. Well, I'm not, I don't really buy into that. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, the way that I was raised, man, Pops used to always say, man, the first step to fixing any problem that you have is acknowledging that it's there. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, when we don't discuss things, they tend to just linger. You know what I'm saying? I'm loving this thing, like we said last week, when we're looking at race relations, the truth of the matter is it is a relationship. So it's just like, being in a household, a husband and wife. So now check this out. We all know if you married that, hey, some of the times when things are not being discussed, don't mean that they're okay. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to sit down and you have to have those tough conversations. So what we're going to do today is deal with some things that, basically hinder those conversations. It hinders what I like to call progress. One of the things that I've noticed when those conversations come about is we tend to tense up, not only tense up, but we tend to get defensive. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that we dealt with, like I said, I wanted to introduce this structure also, man. I have a portion, like I say, race relations, just like a marriage counselor, man. We have a side that we're gonna deal with some of the feedback that we've gotten from Black individuals and white individuals. Again, I'm talking race relation, and just like I said last week, man, I'm kind of reiterating a few things for those that didn't catch last week. If you didn't, go check it out. It's on the Facebook page and the YouTube page. And while you're at the YouTube page, take a minute to like, share, and comment. But check this out. We talked about, we're dealing with race relations, but what we want to do is deal with Black and white. I understand that there are all kind of different races out there, all different ethnicities and all this and the other, but we're going to deal with Black and white tonight. So what we want to talk about is a conversation about the tough conversation, man. So like I said, we'll have a Black side and a white side, man. And we, believe it or not, man, a lot of people are open to have these conversations, man. And I want to just give you guys a little background on the podcast, on the video cast, or whatever we're going to call it. The truth of the matter is, we've kind of shifted our focus into working with the people that really want to see relations go forward. You know what I'm saying? So often, we waste a lot of energy, and we waste a lot of attention focusing on those who don't want change. And at the same time, there are so many that really want change, they really want to see progress, but just don't know where to start. So that's what we're going to deal with this morning. I mean, this evening, we're going to talk about that tough conversation. So now check this out. Like I said, one of the things that we deal with, man, is everybody, we wind up getting defensive. As a black man, when we have these conversations, sometimes they're frustrating because of some of the approaches that are taken. So what I want to do is, first thing I want to say is, man, when we open up to have these conversation and dialogue, man, going back down to, like I said, it's just like a marriage, it's just like a relationship, because that's what it is. No one wants to just get beat up all the time. No one wants to get beat up all the time. And it's just like we said with a marriage. You know, when you know that you've messed up, you know, and when you know that you've messed up, nobody wants to keep rehashing it over and over and over and over and over. Okay, I understand I hurt you. What are we going to do about it? What's the solution? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, some of the kickback that we get is because we want to keep rehashing. Not only do we need to address the issue that's happening, but we also need to find ways to, you know, present solutions. You know, because I've been in conversation and people are like, okay, I understand this is happening. This is how you feel. How can we fix it? What would make you feel better? And in those conversations, man, a lot of people don't even know what to say. They just like, I don't know what would make me feel better, but I know this is wrong, and we got to get out of that mentality. You know what I'm saying? We got to get into the mentality to where we're actively looking for solutions. You know what I'm saying? You know, we've got to get to the point to where we get out of the blame game and we pointing fingers and it's this one fault and it's that one fault, and if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that, and we're going to talk about that later, because the different approaches to the conversations, we need to deal with that also. But yeah, so one of the things we got to get out, we got to get out of the blame game. We've got to get out of, and I'm gonna be real with you. You know, some things happen, and it's a very sensitive subject. We've got to get out of the angry side, the angry side. I mean, I don't know no other way to say it, but some of the things that we have seen, some of the things that we have endured, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. You know what I'm saying? And don't tune out yet, because we're gonna get on both sides, man. Again, like I said, some of the things that we deal with are frustrating. So even when we introduce the conversations, you know what I'm saying? We go into the conversation in defense mode. You know what I'm saying? And that was something that I wanted to deal with, man. We on both sides, we've got to get to the point to where we're listening to understand each other. And I mean, I think that's the key, is understanding. Man, I had a great conversation with one of my friends, man, several years ago, and it really, really opened my eyes with the Embracism movement, man. There was a march or something going on, some type of protest, man, and I was going hard. If you know me, hey, I'm gonna speak up. And he inboxed me, man, and he said, well, man, listen, I really want to help, but I don't know where to start. You know what I'm saying? Anybody I talk to, man, they're angry with me, they mad at me, and I just want to help. I don't know what to do. So what I want to offer to you too is also, you know, as we're having this conversation, be open to listen. You know, you don't want to wind up stoning your people that's coming to help. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to wind up hurting and running off to help. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth of the matter is, just like I said, we designed this for those that are trying to help and just don't know where to start. So again, like I said, we got to get out of the blame game. We've got to take a level-headed approach. I think that's what we want to call it. You got to take a level-headed approach. You've also got to understand, man, I believe that empathy is a thing that works on, that has to be had on both sides. You know what I'm saying? The empathy, going back again, we have to be able, that empathy will help you to listen, to understand. You know what I'm saying? And the truth of the matter is, there are so many issues, and I know I've been through that. There are so many issues that we discuss that we like, man, you should know better. But the truth of the matter, if people have not been you, they haven't experienced the things that you've experienced. Now, like I said, now on the other side of the coin too, you've got to be open to receive those experiences people have. You know what I'm saying? So check this out. So look, you got to be open and understanding that, and like I said, understand that some people just have never been in your shoes, And I know one of the things that culturally we really taught, and I mean, again, like I said, I don't buy into the we're all the same thing either, man. I believe that God created us diverse. We all bring our heritage, our culture into this thing. You know what I'm saying? It's all this, and it really blessed me because I was listening to some teachings and doing some reading on today, and the truth of the matter is a lot of the places we didn't even become black and white until we came to America. You know what I'm saying? So I think the more that we dive into, and I'm challenging you, the more that we dive into our personal heritage, the more we'll learn. And we'll see how things, came to be. So, like I said again, we've got to get out of the blame game. We've got to understand that people have not been in our shoes, and we've got to approach these things level-headed, man. So so now another thing. Now I'm gonna flip the script. One of the things we got to get out of attacking. We got to get out of the attack mode, Lord. And we do have to. The truth of the matter is, we have to listen to reasoning. You know what I'm saying? I know some things may frustrate you, well, man, because some of us get mad. We get mad. I didn't have nothing to do with that. Okay, we got to understand it because they didn't. Again, they're going back down to the relationship, man. That's the equivalent. And I mean, a lot of people don't like to discuss it like that, but that's the equivalent of, you finding a new partner and they continue to bring up their ex. You know what I'm saying? The hurt that their ex caused, they're not responsible for that. Okay, and in a way, but now we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. That's not their fault. So you can understand the defense. You can understand the attitude towards it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that to say we have to be understanding when we have those conversations, man. Now I'm gonna jump to the white side right quick. So check this out. Some of the approaches, and like I say, feel free to comment, feel free to tap in. Some of the approaches that are frustrating and can hinder conversation. Some of the approaches. I narrowed it down into 3, and I got the universal approach. And that's when racial conversations are made, and we all tend to do this. Like I said, I'm kind of categorizing it, but hey, if it fit, put the shoe on. We just want to help. We want to move this conversation forward. The universal approach. When people, oh man, we all human, we all bleed. Well, look, man, the last time I checked, I wasn't having a conversation with a dog or a cat or a chicken. We all know that we bleed. We all know that we're all of the species human. We all know that. But let's talk about real issues. So we'll get into that universal approach to where the truth of the matter is, if I'm coming to you and I'm saying that this particular thing hurt me, that's what I would like to discuss. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would like to discuss. So we've got to get out of that universal. And again, like I said, we want to have real conversations. We want to have real conversations with people, and we want to move the conversation forward and make progress. The universal approach, it's not really that hot. It's not really that hot, man. We know that we all human. We know that we all bleed. But let's talk about the issue, because none of that addresses the real issue. And then at the same time, that can be even more frustrating, because now you're saying, hey, if you could acknowledge that we're all human, that we're all equal, that we're all the same, if that's your approach, if you can acknowledge that, well, let's acknowledge why we're not treating everyone the same. You know what I'm saying? And again, these conversations take being honest. You know what I'm saying? And that honesty, sometimes, like I said, that honesty comes from listening to understand. You know what I'm saying? I may go through something that you may not go through. So if I'm sharing that with you, we don't need to argue with each other. You need to accept what I'm telling you, even though you haven't been through it. Even though, that's like us going to China and saying, man, people here eat with forks. No, they don't. You did. But they eat with chopsticks. We eat with forks. So you can't argue about people's experiences. You know what I'm saying? So when people share something with you, you gotta understand it. Try to understand. You know what I'm saying? At least listen with an ear that wants to understand. Now that's the universal approach. Oh man, everybody bleeds the same. I see. No, we don't. Let's just be honest. We're not all the same in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? We're not all the same. And if we were, these conversations wouldn't be uncomfortable. Those conversations wouldn't be uncomfortable. So that lets you know that there is a difference. There is something that needs to be addressed. All right, that's the universal approach. The individual approach. Look, man, if we're addressing a real issue, okay, a societal issue, and that's the thing that needs to be discussed is societal issues. You know what I'm saying? The when we get to talking racism, it's not, again, like I said, we're not dealing with the people that are quote unquote racist or this person hates this one. No, we're dealing with those that are looking for solutions, those that are trying to solve the problem. So we've got to understand, listen, we're not talking universally. We're talking about, hey, let's deal with these systems, let's deal with society, let's deal with the, I don't want to call it the norm, but let's deal with real situations. Okay, so now check this out. Another approach that winds up happening is that individual approach. The individual approach, and when the individual approach is taken, it really feels like, on a personal level, man, my dog back there going crazy. It also winds up seeming like we're being ignored. The people are being ignored. You know, if I'm telling you that 20 people treated me like this, and you tell me, but I didn't, that's great. That's wonderful. But I still was treated that way. You feel what I'm saying? And that was something, one of the things that I looked at, you know, while I was, you know, just kind of studying on this and just meditating on it, is if we swap roles. Check this out. Most of the time, just an observation, most of the time when conversations are had with blacks, check this out. Most black people tend to look at it like we're the village, us, we, my people, yeah, you know, and that's how we move, you know. And I think one of the issues, like, again, we get lost in that translation. One of the things that we see when we're conversating with whites is a lot of time, again, that individual approach. I didn't, me, my, hey. There's no group concept. So now, again, like I said, we get lost in translation. If as a black guy, I'm always me, my squad, my family, my us, you know what I'm saying? And I'm coming to you about an issue that would be a us situation, and you make it an individual situation that could be frustrating. And now, I believe this here. That's one of the things that we really have to deal with. If we're going to take the us all the time, that's fine. If we're going to take the individual all the time, that's fine. But now, you can't point to one side and say all of y'all, but I'm not. If I could heap these together, we've got to heap me together too. You feel what I'm saying? We got to, come on. We got to have those just scales. And if we're going to take the individual approach, we've got to take the individual approach. If you can be that singular white guy, I ought to be able to be that singular black guy. So now, if when I address white issues, it's a, hey, I don't. When you address black issues, don't make it a group effort. And I'm saying that works both ways. That works both ways. If as the black, you're trying to not identify, hey man, look, I know what they doing over there. That I'm not one of them. Okay, you can't have that approach on this side when it's talking about your issues, but then come over here and say all white people. No. We've got to get to the point to where, listen, hey, we got to kill the double standards, because if you're changing the narratives, changing the situations according to what fits you best, hey, that's not being a realist. That's not being a realist. Check this out. That's that individual approach, and we hear it all the time, man. Man, I got mixed kids. I got family that's black. Hey. And this one here is one of the crazy, man. I wouldn't care if you was black, blue, green. That when a person says that obviously lets you know they're not even considering what you're saying. You're not even speaking with reality, because no one knows a blue, purple, polka dotted person. No one knows that. So the thing is, come on, man. If we're gonna really have conversations, let's have real conversations. And the truth of the matter is when those type of things are said, it's basically saying, hey, I'm ignoring you. And I was sharing with a guy the other day, when you say, man, I don't even see color, you're letting me know that you see my color. Why? Because I've never heard a white guy tell another white guy, hey, by the way, I don't see colors. And I hadn't seen a black guy walk up to another black guy and be like, hey, don't call me bro, because I don't see color. It ain't no we. It's, you know what I'm saying? So we got to get out of that mentality. And again, like I said, these are things that we're kind of programmed. Society is kind of, and I'm not saying it is brainwashed us, but there are certain things that we do. Being again, like I said, that ignorance, we just don't know. We don't know any better, you know. Because think about it. When we and these are some of the things. Now, I'm gonna get into this and just, you know what, I'm gonna wait and get into this. But let's check this out. The universal approach, we got to get out of that. We got to get out of the individual approach. And I mean, when conversations are going there, if we're having a societal conversation, let's not make it personal. If we're having a personal conversation, let's not make it societal. Let's stay in tune with the conversation that's being had, you know, and the context that's being had. Another one is the what about approach. And like again, all these things can really be related to a real relationship. The what about approach. Man, if I sit here and I tell you that this is going on, the what about approach, it always brings up a situation that has nothing to do with the situation that's being talked about. You know what I'm saying? And so often we take that approach. I mean, you're looking at like a marriage, you know, going back down to a relationship. Hey, baby, why you didn't wash the dishes? Well, why you didn't take out the trash? The trash don't have nothing to do with the dishes. And we do that in race relation conversations a lot. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what about hey, and I'm not speaking on organizations. I'm just saying some things that we seen. Okay, man, there's some police shootings. We really need to look at this. Well, what about? We know that police. What about the police lives? We know that the police lives matter. But that's not what we're discussing right now. Let's finish this conversation, and then we'll move on to the next conversation. But we got to stop doing it. We got to stop diverting from real conversations. And I say this here, man, and you look all through history, man, he who controls the narrative, man, controls the people. And we get into that a lot of times. We want to switch the narratives. We want to change this up. No. Let's have a legit conversation. You don't always have, and I mean, this both ways. You don't always have to be in control. Take the time to hear, take the time to listen. And the truth of the matter is, great conversations come when you don't mind taking a role as a teacher. Sometimes it's your time to teach and talk, definitely in this relationship, because the only way to drive out ignorance is with education. We got to educate ourselves with each other. And the truth of the matter is, listen, there's times where I've got to be the teacher and you've got to be the student. And there are other times where you've got to be the teacher and I've got to be the student. You feel what I'm saying? None of us are privileged enough to be able to control the narrative at all times, you know. And being that we want to learn from each other, man, we got to be open to that conversation. We got to be open to that conversation. Listen, guys, I'm looking at this, like I said, I'm using a new app, and I don't know if you guys are commenting or not. It's not allowing me to see that, but I am going to go back, and we will address those comments that you guys have. But okay, I wanted to let that be known. So check this out. So another thing that we want to deal with is, check this out. Another thing that hinders these conversations is we've got to have normal conversations. Okay, we got to have normal conversation. One of the things that I think stalls a lot, and it makes people apprehensive, you know, and, oh man, every time I talk about it, they get angry. No, we got to understand timing and topics. You know what I'm saying? If it's a time that the white community is hurting because so-and-so is going on, now is not the time to sit up there and bring up these certain topics. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, we gotta use common sense. You know what I'm saying? A prime example. You know, if young black guy gets killed by the police, now ain't the time to talk about we know what those triggers are. We got to stop those triggers, man. And if we really want to make progress, let's talk about some real things. I don't want to talk about the police and the shooting. Let's talk about how many blacks are at your church. Do people really feel comfortable? How many whites were at your barbecue the other week? You know, am I really, really making an attempt, you know what I'm saying, to mix things up? And like I said, we can deal with real issues. And I believe that what we've got to do is stop assuming, because we know what happens when you assume. And I think we've got to get to the mentality to where we're willing to ask questions and have real conversations. You know what I'm saying? And listen, when you ask those questions, accept the answer. Accept the answer that you're given, accept the answer that you're given. Because again, that brings us to the next thing I want to say. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I think one of the most frustrating things with all of us is a person trying to tell you what's what when they've never been there. You know what I'm saying? I love this. I love doing the podcast because, hey, I'm legitimately having conversation with white guys and saying, hey, I've never been a white guy. What are some of the issues? What are some things that you think that can help? Because I've never been there. And I have to acknowledge that, So that works the same as in conversation, man. If you've never been in my shoes, you can't tell me how they feel. You remember when mama used to bring you to the store and be like, man, oh, boy, these fit. But you knew they was too tight. Mama, you not wearing these shoes. You can't tell me how they supposed to feel. So I feel like we've got to trust each other. You know what I'm saying? When we discuss how we feel. And I've got to trust you. Why? Because I don't know what I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I've never been in your shoes. And that's one of the things we've got to do. Allow people to explain how their shoes feel. Allow people to explain how their shoes feel. Check this out. Another thing, like I said, we said before, because we want to keep this down to 30 minutes, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. One of the things, like we said before, is this: you got to listen to understand. It's not about being right. It's not about being wrong. It's not about casting blame. What we've got to do is listen to understand. I want to know how I love you. I care about you. I want to fix this. I need to know how you feel. I need to know how you feel. And I need to be open and honest. And I need to be receptive. I need to wait my turn to talk. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be going back down. We've got to have that emotional empathy. We got to have that emotional empathy. I got to feel what you feel. It shouldn't be man, I feel this. Man, you are not feel that way. Or man, you just whining. Or man, just get over it. We gotta miss that mentality. We gotta get rid of that. Like I said, all of us, we've got to get rid of that, and we've got to. If we want to say we are human, we've got to tap into that humanity. You know what I'm saying? When you're hurting, I need to hurt with you. I don't need to explain why you shouldn't be hurting. You know what I'm saying? Because we all have times and going back down to certain situations affect us differently. You know what I'm saying? So now I've got to be open and receptive to when you explain to me how this situation affects me. You know what I'm saying? Without me having to defend why I feel this way. I just need you to say, bro, it's going to be all right. Or how can I help? What can I do, you know what I'm saying, to help? How can I be there for you? You know what I'm saying? And versus, well, you shouldn't feel this way. No, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know how this emotionally affects me. So we got to get in it. We got to have that emotional empathy. Another thing that we got to understand is, listen, that tribalism, like I talked about earlier, we've got to look at that thing and listen. We got to understand this here. We've got to let me say it like this here. Taking responsibility does not mean taking on the guilt. Okay? Taking responsibility does not mean taking on the guilt. Here's the thing, and I'm going to throw this out there. Hope it sticks. When dealing with the race relations conversation, man, the truth of the matter is, going back down to a relationship, man, if I hurt my wife, it's not her responsibility to fix things. It's my responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So I think one of the things that we wrestle with in that area, okay, taking responsibility does not necessarily mean that you're guilty. One of the things we got to look at, okay, when it comes down to the race relation conversation, race was technically invented by whites, by a white guy. I had his name, but we're not getting all of that. It was created by a white guy, so to go hands off, we're saying we need help to fix this. We can't go hands off, man. I need your help to fix this. You know what I'm saying? And we get into, like I say, the tribalism. Well, not all of us, no, but it's not that again, we've got to take responsibility for fixing it. It's not that I'm stoning you. It's not that I'm saying, oh, you guilty or you. No. I need your help to fix this. You know what I'm saying? I can't, going back down to the relationship, I can't, we like to say this here, well, man, I wasn't there, or, I had nothing to do with it. Man, my mom can't insult my wife, right? And my excuse is, it wasn't me. I didn't say it. No. I got to be hands-on in rectifying this situation. I got to get in there, be willing to get my hands dirty. But again, the first step to fixing the problem is acknowledging that it's there. If we don't have that empathy, we won't even acknowledge that it's there. So what the first thing we got to do is listen. We got to listen to each other, listen to understand. We got to have that empathy. And we've got to take responsibility for this. You know what I'm saying? On both ends, we've got to take responsibility. We got to get out of the blame game. If we're gonna fix these issues, we got to get in there and all be willing to get our hands dirty, man. I dealt with the individual versus independent mindset. That's something that we got to deal with. We have to sit there and again, have these conversations in context, man. Again, like I said, these were some of the things that I felt like that that kind of came to me that hinders the race relation conversations. Okay, I feel like go back, listen to it, take notes, add to it, take away, whatever. But the thing is, what we've got to do is be willing, be ready to have these conversations, man. That's what they say, conversation rule the nation, man. Wars have been started by conversation, man. We're praying for Ukraine now, The peace has been made through conversation. I think that the more we have these conversations, the better things will be the better things will get, man. So I just want to tell you guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, we kind of new to this thing, so stick with us. The things are gonna get better, man. Next week, not next week, I'm sorry. We'll be doing this every other week. So the next episode, I want you guys to check this out. Like I say, tune in, spread the word. The next episode, we're going to deal with Welcome to My World. Welcome to My World. And that will be dealing with sometimes when you the only white in a black church or in a black space, it's awkward. When I'm the only black in a white space, it's awkward. So we want to deal with Welcome to My World, and we kind of want to dissect it and check it out. You know what I'm saying? We want to deal with this. So I think it'll be a very interesting topic, man. Like, again, hey, my inboxes are open. Chime in, give me a shout, give me a holler, man. Give me your thoughts. Give me some feedback, and we're gonna keep this thing going, man. You back again? You're in here with Big Brother Brandon, man. This has been Embracism Volume 2. I pray that it helps, and I pray that this helps to help you guys, to help us to initiate those much-needed conversations in making progress with race relations. Y'all be good. See you guys next time.